he like arises out of the water and says, boom, you're dead. Gotcha.
Oh my God.
It was 5:30 in the morning.
I love that.
Dude, it's so good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. My favorite part of the show today was when I asked Kate a question and he didn't answer. That was definitely, Callie, did you like that part?
That was a great part. I like that part.
Kate, do you remember that part?
What question did you ask that I didn't answer?
But it was like, hey, Kate, what do you think about this? Silence.
No, you asked me how I was doing, and you asked if I was stressed today.
No, that's a staple in the show. I always ask the director how they're doing.
Okay, but you didn't ask me a question after that.
Callie, do you remember?
Kate, I think you're thinking at the beginning, this was like mid-show.
And I asked a football question. You didn't answer. It was just dead silence, and I did a fake voice. Well, David, I think it's this.
Oh, I do remember that now. Apologies. I was doing other stuff in terms of the back end.
You know what you should get? You should get somebody who works in the back to bring you coffee in the mornings when you.
You know what? Somebody does do that actually. You see that
right.
guy right there, Riley Puig? Yeah, that guy brings me coffee.
Yeah. By the way, nobody brings me coffee. All right. Nobody brings me water. I just do it. You know why? Because I make times for things that are important for me. Like this rewind show. Okay, go get me a coffee. Anyway, this is the wrong rewind. So who do we have on the show today, Kate?
Well, we had OB with the 24 and 24.
Yeah.
We had Stephen McGee. He was a riot today. He was a lot of laughs. I think he cried at one point. We had Herm Edwards on the phone, and then we had Connor Choate. He was great.
He was great. Emma, what was your favorite part? Just yell it. Yell it, Emma. Yell it.
Probably Stephen McGee. I really like him.
You're like, I don't know. I didn't watch the show. I was just here. Callie, quickly, favorite part?
I gotta go Steven also. He was hilarious today.
I got freaking Herm Edwards on the show. and I love Steven, but he's on all the time, and he's always great. Nobody's going to give Herm Edwards some love? Whatever. It's the rewind. Check it.
He had some moments last year, but not very many, right? He had an interception in the bowl game when he was pressed into duty. Look, you don't expect a lot from a freshman typically. When he played, I thought he was all right.
Yeah.
This ranking clearly is based on, like yesterday, Eli Ricks, based on the potential.
Potential, and I think what we're hearing from across the street, right? So an interesting thing, and I don't know if I'll do this every time, but Matthew Dawson, who helped compile the statistics,
the brainiac from Chicago,
he texted me yesterday that as we were preparing for this, that the fans and you, I don't think had Dalton as high.
I did. I probably didn't even have him on my list.
I think you did, but I don't think you had him as high. And I had him. I have to remember, but in the teens somewhere. So and I think a lot of that is based on the intel that Billy had been getting from the way he looked at the spring and from what we've heard from across the street. This is somebody who's trending in that right direction.
Yeah. Now look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When I'm making my rankings, not always, but I say 90% of the time, I'm going to focus on what they've actually done at this level. Not necessarily at A&M, but at this level. Like Nick Scorton, I'm going to, spoiler alert, I'm going to have Nick Scorton really high on my list, right?
Maybe in the top 20?
Yeah, he did, maybe so. Well, obviously, because we're already at this. But, and he didn't do it in the SEC, but he did it at major college level. So I'm going to put more emphasis on that. However, I will acknowledge that Dalton Brooks, when he played, looked pretty good. He didn't play a lot, but when he played, looked pretty good. Quite frankly, you could make an argument that maybe he should have played more. Thought he looked good in the bowl game, and there is a world of potential there.
Here's a couple of notes here from that our team put together. Had a tackle for a 6-yard loss in the season-opening victory over New Mexico. Obviously, we talked about this one already. Picked off a pass, made 7 tackles in the Texas Bowl against Oklahoma State. Played in 12 games as a freshman, making his first start of the year in the Texas Bowl. Saw the field in Miami, made a tackle over ULM, was on the tackle against Auburn, assisted on a tackle in wins over Arkansas and South Carolina, made 2 tackles at Ole Miss, tallied 4 takedowns in the win over Mississippi State. So on the year, 18 tackles, 10 solo, 8 assisted, 1 interception, 1 start, and was a 4-star by ESPN Rivals and 247.
Right. So, I mean, all those things are good. Some of those tackles are probably on special teams, but all those things are really good when you consider, a freshman backup who's not going to play a lot. So that's why I would, but that wasn't enough for me to say I think he's one of the top 20 players. Now, again, you and Billy have more inside information than I do. And the coaches are saying, hey, this guy's really emerging, and they expect that potential to turn into production. And quite frankly, who knows more than them?
It's always fun. You get the guys together. We had our group messages right this morning. I woke up to about 40 missed text messages with all the guys that we played with, and we had this walk-on guy that was like this huge roided up dude, and they were reminiscing on this guy and whatever. And so Cody Wallace, he texted. He said, I'll never forget. One day I get into the hot tub, and it was like training camp. It's kind of like it has some extra foam bubbles, and it's probably not the cleanest thing ever. And he's like, I remember I sit in the hot tub, and then all of a sudden, like 10 seconds later, this guy that we're talking about, he used to be a Navy SEAL. He like arises out of the water, says, "Boom, you're dead. Gotcha."
Oh my God.
It was 5:30 in the morning.
I love that.
Dude, it's so good.
Oh.
He was just hiding in the hot tub. But anyway, yeah, it's always fun when you get the old crew together.
Herm, do you feel that the best destination for Dak is still the Dallas Cowboys?
He's comfortable there. I mean, he is their quarterback. I think Dak is interesting in the sense that, because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, you get all this, entitlement because you play for Dallas. His problem is, like any quarterback that plays there, they're all looking up at Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, what they were able to accomplish there. He's kind of following the path right now of Tony Romo. And Tony Romo was a really good quarterback, but no championships. These guys are 29 years since the last time they walked away with the trophy. Dak Prescott's record in the playoffs, not very good. He's only got 2 playoff wins. So, as much as we like Dak, I mean, quarterbacks always get the blame. Quarterback and head coach, they're tied together. They get the blame for all this. But this team hadn't played well in the playoffs for a number of years, and that's their struggle. They've got all-stars on both sides of the ball. We know who they are. You can name them. They're outstanding. And last year, 12-6, 5-1 in the division, and they let a Green Bay Packer team come in there in the playoffs and beat them. And that's kind of the Dallas Cowboys. They got to win in the playoffs.
We're talking to Herm Edwards here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Yesterday, this happens every camp, but now with with more phones, more cameras, we see a lot more of it. But the Steelers, little, pushing and shoving between Landon Roberts and Justin Fields. Back in your day, Herm, how common were those pushing and shoving sessions?
About every other day, for sure. It wasn't on tape, but look, it was training camp was different. These guys aren't in training camp. You kidding me? Training camp. Look, I was in the league when there was only 14 regular season games. There was 6 preseason games. You're in training camp for 2 months, and you were playing tackle football every day. It was a different mentality. There was 125 guys in camp, and so, obviously after about a week of football, you get tired of beating up on each other. And there are a lot of little things, and that's just football, and they go away. It's not a big deal, Keep it on the field. It doesn't go in the locker room. The veterans generally control the locker room. They keep it out on the field, and things happen. So now you have it on tape. Everything is on tape. Everybody has a phone. If you have fans that come, they play it, and then all of a sudden it becomes a talking point on radio shows or who I work for, ESPN. If it's a good enough one, we'll show highlights of it, and all of a sudden we got to narrate what happened here. I mean, it's football. Come on. Kidding me? It's football.
Yeah, I think, Coach Elko was great to me while I was there, given I was just a long snapper. So, he'd always talk to the punters and us, like, hey, it'd be great if you could pin him inside the 5, take care of me, I'll take care of you. We need long fields to work with. So he had a good punter, with Braden and Nick. So he usually was a fan of us, but Coach Elko was a great guy. The thing I noticed was the defense was like always on time to team meetings, just as a group. They seemed pretty unified while he was here. You never really heard anything about the defense, being late or, missing lifts or anything like that. So I'm a big fan of Coach Elko. I think it's going to be completely different. I think the other thing I'll be most interested to see is how he manages games. Going forward on fourth down. I know Coach Fisher, caught some heat for some of his decisions on that. So I'm more interested to see how aggressive he is. Going for it or punting on things. Because I think defensive coaches get a bad rep. Usually they're more conservative, but I think we'll see Coach Elko, with Colin Klein, be a little more aggressive than people think.
Connor, you spent a season with Connor. Did you see something in him early on? You're like, yeah, this dude is different.
Yeah. So, my nickname for him is Baby Jack Jack, from The Incredibles, how he can turn into anything and, any environment, he has a superpower to combat whatever he's in. So, and I think that perfectly describes Connor. We saw it going into Auburn. Obviously Haynes getting hurt, that was terrible, but, I was excited to see how he did it. Even when he was young, coming into spring, he was a leader, and you can tell that it was special. And he's a big time competitor. I think he's super talented. But my Baby Jack Jack analogy, I think, perfectly describes him.
Do I ask Cade, Callie, or Emma? Callie, what do you think?
Oh man, I can do it.
All right, fine, you do it. Always just take the airtime.
Y'all should like, comment, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, follow us on social media, and watch TexAgs Radio.
Thank you. See you next time.